And it's just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Pofong Lim all the way from Cambodia. I just thought it would be so fun. You graduate, you're a senior in dental school. You graduate in August, and it's 7 in the morning in Phoenix, Arizona. It's 9 p.m. In Cambodia, and I just thought it would be so fun for my listeners to meet a friend all the way to Cambodia. So you're talking to dentists in over 150 countries today. Pofong is a final year dental student currently enrolled in the University of Health Sciences in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, which is the capital. He has received Outstanding Student Award from the 3rd to 5th year study while completing his bachelor study as a first place student in 2015. He is now pursuing Doctor of Dental Surgery and will graduate in 2017. However, he realized that school curriculum alone is not sufficient to ensure success in practice or career. Therefore, he went on to widen his vision through reading, joining study clubs, attending local and international conferences. Pofong can speak English, Cambodian, Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese, Chao Zhou, Hokkien. His multilingual skills allow him to be selected as a representative to attend China-ASEAN Young Dental Student Forum. He has been volunteering as part of the Conference Organization Committee of the Cambodian Dental Association, Asia Pacific Dental Student Association, ICOI, International Congress of Oral Implantologists in Cambodia, and Dental Implant Society of Cambodia. He also volunteered in several dental missions. He plans to seek scholarship for his postgraduate study in prosthodontics or implantology, then return as a lecturer in the university. Pofong was born in a dental family. After the Khmer Rouge genocide, his grandfather and father established their dental clinic in 1979 and remains operational until today. This has become the main motivation for Pofong to seek knowledge to maintain and expand his family business. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So what's dentistry like in Cambodia?
Well, in Cambodia, dentistry is, I think people still consider it as a service, some kind like we as dentists cannot charge as much as you can in America or Western country. For example, cleaning is like $10, filling is like $20 or $30. And people will consider it very expensive. They think you are just doing a 5-minute job while you're charging us so expensive. So generally, I think that people are still not accepting the fact that dentistry is a healthcare service that requires some value.
Right. And is it very different? Is it kind of the same situation as like Cambodia or Laos or China or Malaysia, or would you say it's more low cost than your neighbors?
Well, according to the students that I know from other countries, I think our situation is a little worse because in other countries it's not so bad, I think, according to what I hear from them.
So you think the prices are much lower in Cambodia?
Yes.
So
but according to region too, yeah.
So let's talk about the dental disease in Cambodia. From all your international experience, does the Cambodian diet, do you think it promotes decay? I mean, do people drink a lot of Coca-Cola, or do they mainly drink water? Do they eat more fruits and vegetables, or do they eat a lot of processed food with high fructose corn syrup? How do you think the Cambodian diet affects decay?
Well, we don't take in as much processed food as other countries. However, I think the main cause of dental disease is their habit, our culture, because they have a low understanding of oral care. That's why they will not put as much attention to their oral care. So that's the main cause of dental diseases like gingivitis or calculus or dental caries. Because our diet is actually quite balanced and quite healthy. It's composed of a balanced amount of meat and vegetables. So, yeah.
So the diet is very good, but their home care is not as good.
Yes, I think so.
So your father was a dentist and your grandfather was a dentist. It seems like when you go around the world, it seems like a good chunk of everyone around the world kind of is in the family business. I mean, no matter what country I go to, no matter what trade they're in, It's a
Yeah.
family. What percent of the dentists would you say in Cambodia are family business, where the girl's a dentist and so's her mom or dad or grandfather?
Mhm.
How common is that?
I would say about 60 or 70%,
Yeah.
because it's very uncommon for people who have no dental background to get into dental school.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it just makes everything more difficult, from their study to their intern to their training.
Well, I grew up in Kansas, which is right in the
Mhm.
middle of the United States, and every wheat farmer, dairy farmer, cattle farmer friend I had,
Mhm.
that farm had been in the family for probably 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any kid that walked out. I don't know a single person that walked out of high school and just said, "I'm going to be a wheat farmer." First one in my family. You know what I mean? You just,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, so all these skill sets are so unique that about the only way you could ever be a wheat farmer is if your parents were wheat farmers. What about
Yeah.
boy girl? What percent of the dentists are boys? What percent are girls in Cambodia? And has that changed over the last 50 years?
Yeah, according to my father, it has changed because mm when he was studying dentistry, there was like only 20 people in a classroom and only 2 or 3 girls. But now it was about 60% guy and 40% girls. There are more girls than before.
And do you think the consumer? Do you think the Cambodian women like that better? Do you think a mom in Cambodia would rather go
Mhm.
to a female dentist, or do you not see the consumer really making a preference?
I think it really depends on the dentist's reputation and skill, not as much on the gender side.
So I see you're wearing braces. You're wearing
Yeah,
orthodontics.
yeah.
Yeah. Now talk about that. When did you start braces?
Actually, I started braces when I was in high school, but then I didn't finish my treatment and it kind of relapsed. And as soon as I got into dental school and studied about orthodontic, I realized that I really shouldn't keep this problem. It's gonna cause me TMJ problem or occlusion problem. So I asked my father for another orthodontic treatment.
So your
Just
dad's doing your braces?
no, it was another orthodontist.
It's an orthodontist. So let's talk about
Yep.
that. The United States has 9 specialties recognized by the American Dental Association.
Mhm.
France only has 3. How many does Cambodia have?
Well, in Cambodia, we are not so advanced yet. So the only specialty that we provide are a dental public health, master of orthodontics, and master of endodontic, and master of oral maxillofacial. So that's the only thing we can provide for now.
So you have 4: public health, endodontics, oral
Yep.
surgery, orthodontics.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
you're more advanced in France. France only has 3.
Really?
Yeah, some people would call it advanced. Some people would call it regulation. I
Mhm.
think the answer should be what's best for the patient.
Yeah.
And United States is dealing that now with implantology. The American Dental
Mm.
Association did not make
Yeah.
a specialty for implantology, so the
Yeah.
implantologist went to the courts, and the court said it's none of the American Dental Association's not a government agency, so they can't regulate if you want to say you're a specialist. And the reason I brought that up is because you're
Mhm.
interested in implants. You're a member of the International Congress of Oral Implantology in Cambodia and the Dental Implant Society of Cambodia. So, what's
Yeah.
made you interested in implants?
I think it is a very, should I say, convenient treatment option, because the conventional crown and bridges are very invasive. If you lose one tooth, you got to cut out 2 adjacent teeth to make up the one missing tooth. So with implant, you can ensure the survival of just one implant and you can restore one tooth. So I just think it is a less invasive way of restoring or restoration.
So, is there a big demand for implants? Are there a lot of Cambodian people missing a lot of teeth that would benefit from dental implants?
Yeah, dental implant is getting more and more popular in Cambodia and more acceptable. But according to the economy and people's budget, I think they are still afraid of surgery because dental implant is still considered a surgery. they do not want to undergo any sorts of surgical procedure. So maybe most of them will still prefer the conventional way, or let's say partial denture.
I want to go back to the causes of dentistry. Fluoride is the water in Cambodia. Is it naturally fluoridated? Does the capital Cambodia, Phnom Penh, does it adjust the fluoride in the city drinking water? Or talk about fluoride.
I've never heard about community fluoridation in Cambodia, but I think some part of the region the water is naturally fluoridated.
Yeah, well, they've actually never found a fresh water source on Earth that didn't have fluoride in the water, because it's the 13th most common element of the planet. And it shows up the ocean at 1.4. Phoenix adjusted in community water fluoridation to make sure that it's at least half the amount found naturally in the ocean. What is the most common toothpaste over there, and does it have fluoride in there?
I think Colgate.
And Colgate's an interesting brand, because it's the most popular brand around the world, but in many countries, there's no word for toothpaste. Just like in the United States, people say, hand me a Kleenex, even though the brand might not be Kleenex. Or they'll say, go Xerox a copy of this for me, even though it's not a Xerox, it's on a Canon. But in many countries, there's no word for toothpaste. The mom will say, put Colgate on that. And it may be the brand Colgate, but it could be another brand. And what about obesity? United States and our neighbor Mexico. Mexico's #1 in obesity. United States is #2. Have you seen? But when you're talking to your dad and your grandfather, has obesity started in Cambodia or not really?
No, I don't think so. People here are still very skinny, and some are not getting as much nutrition. Yeah, so I've never really seen any people with obesity.
Yeah, to me, that's always the most shocking thing when you go to Hong Kong or Malaysia or China. I mean, you just don't see any obesity. I mean, it's just an amazing, it's just dramatic in your face, like, wow, everyone in this country is ideal weight. It is it is amazing. So, are you, you want to become a teacher in your dental school?
Yeah, I do hope that I can become one.
And how many dental schools are in Cambodia?
There are 5. They are all located in Phnom Penh.
So you have 5, and they're all in the capital, Phnom Penh. And did you go to the same one that your dad and grandfather went to?
Yeah.
Yeah?
The same school.
And do they want you to come work for them, or do they want you to be a teacher in the dental school?
Well, we can become a part-time lecturer, so yeah, we can still work and teach at the same time.
And what are your hours? Does your grandfather still work, or did he retire?
No, he's retired. Actually, he's not a dentist, but he's sort of a dental manager for my father.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he started. Yeah.
And how old's your father?
My father is about 60, I think.
60. And what is a common work week in Cambodia? Like, what are his hours during the week?
Well, normally in the morning they will work from 8 to 12 and 2 to 6 in the afternoon. That's the common work hour.
That's the common work hour. And how many days a week is that?
Well, for private business or private practice, they will work about 6 days per week, 6 to 7 days. But for government, they will only work 5 days. They have weekends off.
So if you work for the government, you have the weekends off. And is the weekend still Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday, but private practitioners work 6 or 7 days a week?
Yeah.
Wow, and your father works how many days a week?
6 days.
6 days? Has he always worked 6 days a week?
Yeah, it's always like that.
Yeah, that is shocking. There are so many Americans who would just think that's shocking. There's a Korean family up the street from me, and they have a dry cleaner, and they basically have worked 7 to 7, 6 days a week for the last 30 years, and they just consider that just like no big deal, normal. I mean, the work ethic in Asia is mind blowing compared to Europe and North America. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. What's the work hour in the US?
Most dentists, all the dentists, I'd say 80% of the dentists work Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5. Probably
8 to
4 out of 5 dentists work Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5.
Oh, wow. Only 4 days a week.
Yeah, and in Phoenix, I live, the city I live in, Phoenix, the metropolitan has 4 million people, and I've never seen a single dental office open on Sunday. So if you get a toothache on a Sunday, you have to go
Yeah.
to the hospital, and the hospital can do brain surgery, heart surgery, but they can't pull a tooth, which is just,
Yeah.
that doesn't even make sense to me. So
Wow.
basically, yeah, it's I mean, I'm telling you, every time I go to Asia, the most
Uh-huh.
shocking thing is there's no obesity, and the work ethic is just, it's just simply amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, my father worked at his restaurant all
Mm-hmm.
day, every day, 7 days a week till he dropped dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was open 7 days a week. I mean, he never thought he never thought anything of it. So, what else has got what's got you passionate about dentistry? What makes you want to be a dentist?
Actually, it was more of a family thing because I never really thought of what I want to become, but my parents would tell me that, oh, you need to become a dentist to continue on the family business. So that's how I got into dentistry. But then when I really started to study about dentistry, I realized that I really like it. I like the way how it is related to science, related to health, and also related to some manual work.
Yeah, it's all hands-on surgery, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
I
all
mean, we work
hands-on.
with our hands, no different than a
Yeah,
plumber or a welder. We work with our hands. We're surgeons.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I like it more as I get more education.
That is awesome. So what do you so talk about your what are your thoughts of dental education? I mean, have you been happy with your dental education? Do you think it'll change over the next 10 years? What do you think could improve dental education?
Well, dental education in Cambodia is still very primitive. As I visited some other university around the world, I think that we still have a long way to go. Maybe that will happen in my generation, like 20 or 30 years from now.
So what countries did you visit?
Well, for example, Australia. In Australia, they have like this virtual VR machine for you to stimulate some hands-on procedure. It's like you look into the 3D glasses and you hold their two sticks. And in the screen they will show like you are holding a probe and at high speed, and they will have like real-time tactile feeling to your finger. You will see what you are doing through the screen, but actually you are just holding two sticks. And in Cambodia, I don't think you're ever gonna get that within 50 years. So that's a really long way to go.
Now, how many years is dental school? Did you have to go to college first and then dental school? To talk about the curriculum. So what
Well,
do you finish high school when you're 17, 18? To talk about that.
yeah, we finished high school around 17 or 18, and then we will take our national exam to get into dental school. We don't have to take undergraduate before dental school. So if you pass the national exam, we are gonna need to take one preparation year. They call it the foundation year to prepare you for dental school. And then you will have another 6 years of study. You will get your BDS, the Bachelor of Dental Science, at your 5th year, and then you continue to another 2 years for your DDS.
Wow. So a BDS is a Bachelor of Dental Science, and then
Yeah,
2 more years, and then you get your Doctorate in Dental Science.
yeah, yes.
Interesting. And is that BDS? Is that from the British system? The
I'm not
BDS?
sure. I'm not sure what system, but the BDS is only it's like a step for you to step from BDS to DDS. The ultimate goal is to get your DDS.
And then if you wanted to specialize in endodontics or oral surgery or orthodontics or public health, one of your 4 specialties, is that how long extra is that?
You, well, first you have to finish your DDS, and then endodontic is like 2 to 3 years. The same with orthodontic. So it's all about 2 to 3 years.
And are you thinking about doing any of that?
Well, I'm thinking of maybe prosthodontic.
Prosthodontics. So
Yeah, maybe.
that's not a specialty there yet. But
Yeah.
do you think that'll be you want to go into prosthodontics, and do you think that will eventually become a specialty?
I don't know yet, but maybe I'll try to see if there's any opportunity that I can go study abroad.
And if you're really getting into implant, if you were a prosthodontist, would you be placing the implants and restoring them, or just restoring them?
I think would be placing and restoring.
Interesting. Yeah, some prosthodontists, in when you go around the world, some prosthodontists, I would say most prosthodontists will not
Yeah.
place them, because if they place them, then they lose the referrals from the oral surgeons. And since the oral surgeons and the periodontists are placing probably 50% of all the implants in America are placed by oral surgeons and periodontists, the other half are placed by general dentists. So if a prosthodontist starts placing them, he'll basically lose his referrals from the oral surgeons and the periodontists. So as a business decision, they choose not to.
So they mainly depend on a referral from other dentists?
Yeah, because if you have oral surgeons in the capital, say you have a dozen oral surgeons, and they're placing 50 implants a month, and they're sending you 10% of those patients to put all the teeth on and the fixed and removable appliance on the implants. But then you start placing them, they're like, well, I'm not going to send them to you because you'll start stealing my business.
Yeah. But in Cambodia, the referring business is not really going yet. Like I don't think people are getting into a habit of referring patients. Like if a dentist can do both orthodontic and implant and prosthodontic, he would do it all just to keep the patient in his office.
Sure. And plus they're working 6 days a week, so they got plenty of time to see the patient.
Yeah.
So is your father's dental office, is it busy?
Yeah, quite busy.
Quite busy? So he's doing well?
Thankfully.
Now, when someone like your dad is 60 years old, a successful dentist, where does that fit into Cambodian society? Does that make him like an average income? Is it above average? Is it high income? How does that work in Cambodia, with the fees being $10 for a cleaning and $30 for a filling?
Well, the fee really differs from clinic to clinic, but I think we would belong to the higher income group.
Higher income?
Yeah. But if your clinic can perform more specialized procedure like orthodontics and oral surgery or dental implant, then we will, of course, have higher income than that.
So does your dad have a hygienist to clean teeth, or does he do the teeth cleaning himself?
Well, he let me do it, so basically I'm his hygienist.
So you're his hygienist?
Yeah.
Now, there's 5 dental schools in the capital, Phnom Penh. Do all 5 dental schools also have a hygiene school in them
No.
Are there any hygienists there?
Well, they have a dental assistant school. So, yeah, dental assistant should be the one taking care of the cleaning.
When you go to Asia, I mean, when you go to China and Malaysia and Indonesia, it's so obvious that they eat a healthier diet of fruits and vegetables and less processed food and all that kind of stuff. But what about gum disease? What about periodontal disease, which isn't really diet related, it's home care related? Do you see a lot of periodontal disease in Asia?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. And do you think Asia has more periodontal disease than, say, like Africa or Europe?
Well, we might have a higher chance of periodontal disease because we don't take care of our teeth that much, I think. People do not come to visit a dentist for checkup every 6 months, so they are just gonna keep their problem there until one day they just can't stand the pain anymore and they will come to you.
So it sounds like one of your greatest contributions to Cambodia could be getting one of those dental schools to start a hygiene school. I mean,
if that's possible.
If oral health care is low, I mean, they got a great healthy diet. So it's just home care is the next step. And gosh, if those 5 dental schools all started a hygiene school, even if they only graduated 10 students a year, that would be an amazing start for the reduction of periodontal disease and prevention of tooth loss.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, so if there's any hygienists listening who want to move to Cambodia and meet up with Pofong Lim to start the first hygiene school, we'll name it the Pofong Lim School of Hygiene. That would be amazing.
That would be really amazing. I welcome you to Cambodia.
Yeah, yeah, that would be really, really amazing. I bet you that company that we're talking about, toothpaste, Colgate. I know those guys would do, they would do anything to help get a hygiene prevention. So how come? Let's stay with that. What percent of Cambodians brush their teeth or every day or floss every day or what does that habit look like today in Cambodia?
Well, I think pretty much everyone would brush their teeth, but flossing, I still think that it's not so common.
But pretty much everyone brushes their teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Colgate's the most popular toothpaste?
Yeah, because everyone knows Colgate.
Yeah. Now, have you ever heard of Procter & Gamble Crest?
No.
Yeah. And see, that would be shocking for an American to hear that because Procter & Gamble and Crest, it's a big brand in the United States, but it's not a big brand in Asia, Africa, Latin America. Yeah. Colgate is the winner. So what else for the dental school? Now, do you guys use the internet much? Are you online? Do you use online education modules, YouTube, Dental Town, anything like that? Any international forums during dental school for dental information?
Well, yeah, I think people nowadays depends a lot on the online education stuff, like Facebook or YouTube or even PubMed. They will go and search for their own information.
So are you ever on Dental Town?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that very common in Cambodia?
No, I don't think so. But yeah.
How could I get that into the 5 dental schools in Cambodia?
I'm not quite sure. I think we can get it to the students. It's easier to get into comparing to get into dental school.
How could I get it to the dental students?
I'm not so sure because most of the students I know, they like your page, so they must have known about Dental Town.
Oh, you mean my Facebook page?
Yeah, your Facebook page.
So most of the students
that's how I know about you too.
Yeah, Facebook is huge. I think they just passed 1.4 billion people on Earth are on Facebook. That is amazing. But hey, if you ever if all 5 dental schools are in Cambodia, if you ever arrange it, I'd love to fly to Cambodia and go give a lecture to each one of those 5 dental schools. I think that would be a blast. Spend a week in Cambodia and lecture at one of the dental schools every single day for a week. Would you go with me, Ryan? Oh my God, that would be too much fun. I want to talk about student loans in the United States. One of the most crippling things about being a dentist is about 17%. Their dad's a dentist, like your dad's a dentist. Did your dad pay for your dental school?
Yeah.
Will you have any student loans? Any debt?
No. We don't have any student loan in Cambodia.
Yeah, so in the United States, 17% of the kids are like you, their dad's a dentist, paid for dental school. So then about another third will have about 100,000 of debt, another third will have 200,000 of debt, and another third will have like 300,000 plus in debt. So that's kind of a huge economic hurdle to jump over. But you're saying there's no student loans in Cambodia?
Yeah, because I think the school fee is quite low, so yeah.
How much is the student? How much is the tuition?
For public school is about 1,400 per year.
1,400?
For private school is about 2,500 or 3,000. And
of those 5 dental schools, how many of them are public government schools and how many of them are private?
Just 1 public and 4 private.
Is the public school Has it been there forever? And then the new private schools are just kind of popping up brand new?
Yep, it's like that.
How old are the private schools?
The private schools, I think maybe like 10 or 15 years at most.
And do you see them opening up more and more, or do you think it's leveled off and there's only going to be four private schools and one public?
Well, the newest dental school just opened like last year or 2 years ago, so I'm not sure if there's gonna be more.
And what does your dad think of these new schools opening up? Does he think it's good for dentistry, or does he think it's making too many dentists?
Yeah, I believe that we are having too many dental schools. But most of the students from high school, they prefer public school over private school.
So is the public school better?
Well, I think it is more reliable in terms of government affairs and the curriculum system.
And do you go to the public school or do you go to a private school?
I go to the public school.
You go to the public school?
Yeah.
Is the private schools the same length of time as the public school, or are they
Yes,
shorter?
it's the same length, 7 years.
Yeah, some countries have really, like India and Brazil and Malaysia are three great examples where the explosion of private dental schools has made it so that like Brazil has the same number of dentists as the United States. The United States has 300 million people. Brazil only has 200 million people. So Brazil has 100 million less people and the same number of dentists, and about half the dentists in Brazil cannot make a living just doing dentistry. They have to have a part-time job. And
Wow.
Malaysia's gone from like one dental school to, was it 6 or 10? I think it was one. I think went from one school to six, and there's just so business is supply and demand, and if you create too big of a supply, then you need to grow demand, and
Yeah.
but I think the best way to grow demand in Cambodia would be to start hygiene schools to get people coming in. Kind of like if you're going to learn to play the piano, you need a piano teacher. If you're going to learn how to play the clarinet, you need a clarinet teacher. And if you're going to learn to take care of your
That's right.
teeth, you need to start seeing a hygienist every 3 to 6 months and going over the brushing, the flossing, everything about it. And I watched that. Believe it or not, I'm so old. When I went to Australia for the first time, they really didn't have hygiene schools either. And so that's something that's really taken off just over the last 30 years in Australia. And I think as they have increased the hygiene school, they've really increased the oral health of the 20 million Australians and increased everything. I think that'd be a economic foundation for growing the dental industry in Cambodia is hygienists. Maybe you could start the first hygiene school and become a periodontist. Have you ever thought of that?
No, never.
You should start a private hygiene school. You should be a periodontist and start your own hygiene school, even if you just started with 10, 15, 20 students.
Yeah, that's actually a really great idea, but I will need your help.
Well, you have my help, and you have the help of 250,000 dentists on Dentaltown. I swear to God, if you started this and you were asking for help on Dentaltown, there's 50 forums on Dentaltown, root canals, fillings. One of them is humanitarian. And I have so many friends. I even have friends that go to Cambodia on dental missions. And if you started a hygiene school and you wanted periodontists or hygienists to come in and teach or bring materials or help with curriculum, my God, you'd have so many volunteers helping you. It would just be, it'd be crazy. You'd get all the help you need. And by the way, that Dentaltown, have you downloaded the app on your phone?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Does it work well in Cambodia?
Yeah, it works fine.
It works fine.
Yeah.
Right on. So, what advice would you give to dental students right now listening? I think about 20% of this program is actually dental students. What advice would you give dental students?
Well, I think we need to be open-minded, because dentistry in Cambodia is still not very developed compared to other countries. So we need to open up our minds to new ideas and new knowledges, and try not to depend too much on school curriculum, because there's just so much thing that the school can provide you. I think everyone will agree that when they step out of dental school, they will feel like they got nothing at all. So if you don't depend on yourself to learn some new knowledges or skills, then you're gonna get stuck there forever.
Yeah, and you know what? I've been out of school 29 years and it doesn't change. I mean, even 29 years later of doing this, you're still always thirsting for all these things you don't know. I
Yeah.
want to ask about amalgam versus composite. In
Mm-hmm.
Cambodia, if Cambodia did 100 fillings on just molars,
Mm-hmm.
what percent of those 100 fillings on molars would be amalgam versus composite?
Well, I'm not sure about other practice, because some would support amalgam because of its strength and longevity, and some would support composite. But in my father's practice, I have never seen him done any amalgam restoration. It's all composite.
Your dad only does composite.
Yeah, because when patients hear about they are gonna get a black filling, something like silver or black filling, they are not gonna go for it.
Yeah, amalgam is a superior restoration as far as metal, long lasting, more bacterial static, more less likely to have recurrent decay, but it just really doesn't matter because the consumer wants whiter, brighter, straighter, sexier teeth.
Yeah, yeah, they are more concerned with the aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah. And when you go in Asia, I would say the most cosmetic-minded people are the Koreans. I mean, they seem to be the most fashion, hairdo, dress with pizzazz. I mean, they're just completely into cosmetics and aesthetics the most. Would you say they're the most aesthetic-oriented Asian country?
I think they are, in terms of aesthetic, like especially orthodontic.
Yeah, yeah, and plastic surgery. I think they're number
Plastic
one,
surgery.
the highest in plastic surgery. It's funny because when you're in China, I always thought it's funny if someone comes in the room and they're dressed all fancy, all the Chinese people say, "Oh, you're looking Korean today."
Yeah, Korean is like the standard for aesthetic.
Koreans are.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what about tooth whitening? Is your dad doing any tooth whitening, teeth bleaching?
yeah, we do.
Is it very common?
Yeah, it's getting more and more common, especially among the young people.
Now, I was noticing you're wearing braces, you're wearing fixed wires, and I was amazed at how popular Invisalign was in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan. Is Invisalign, what's Invisalign, how are they doing in Cambodia?
Well, I think they are starting to get into Cambodian markets. There are several more practices who are doing Invisalign, but I just haven't seen anyone really getting Invisalign treatment. Maybe because of its high cost.
Yeah, it's definitely higher cost when you figure in the lab bill. It's I mean, probably the lab cost for Invisalign could be $1,000, whereas the orthodontic brackets could only be $100.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what? How much longer do you have for your braces?
I think it's just several months.
Just a few more months.
Uh-huh.
Did you have to have any teeth extracted for your braces?
No,
No,
luckily.
no,
Yeah.
non-extraction. What else did you want to talk about? What other advice would you get you young students? You basically telling them that when they get out of dental school, that's just the start. That's just their legal license, but their
Yeah,
journey of continued education will never stop.
yeah,
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons I started this podcasting, because I realized that all these young kids had an hour commute to work, and they live in a town where it only has maybe a study club one night a month. And I thought, well, man, if you're stuck in an hour commute on some freeway in Los Angeles, and instead of listening to talk radio, I'll give you some talk radio and we'll talk dentistry for an hour. And I think that's why this show has been a huge success, because it's multitasking. You get to learn while you're driving to work.
yeah.
And so what other advice would you give to dental students?
Mm, I think they need to realize that we, as dental students or dentists, we are on the same boat. We all belong to Cambodian dentistry, and we're working toward developing Cambodian dentistry. So we need to get rid of the bad habit of like jealousy or competition, trying to win against each other. Because we need to realize that we are the future leaders of Cambodian dentistry. When you go out there on the stage, they're gonna refer to you as Cambodian dentist. So one day it's gonna be our responsibility to provide treatment to the patients or educate the future students. So I think it's very important for us to get our mindset correct so we can pass on more and better knowledge to the next generation.
Man, that was beautiful. Beautiful. Well said. What about your neighbors? Does the Cambodian? So you have Vietnam on the east of you. You have Thailand on the west of you. Does the Vietnam Dental Association to the east, the Laos to the north, Thailand to the west, do those dental associations? Is it common for dentists in those countries to go to each other's annual dental meetings?
Well, I think so. It really depends on the program. And yeah, it's quite common for Cambodian dentists to travel around and attend conferences.
Now, do you regularly go? Who would be the leader in that area? Like when you go to Africa, most Africans try to go to dental meetings in South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt. And most of the dentists, those are kind of the leaders in dental organizations, continuing education meetings. Who's the leader in your region between Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, Myanmar?
I would say the Cambodian Dental Association, because they have more connection with other associations. So they will inform us if there is any opportunity or any conferences happening around us.
So you have a one big yearly annual meeting, or are they several times a year, or?
For the Cambodian Dental Association, is one meeting annually.
And when's your next meeting?
I think next February.
February. So if you're listening, and you want to go visit Cambodia and meet Pofong Lim in person next February. So what would the website be? Is it a Facebook page or a website for the Cambodian Dental Association?
I think I don't know their email, but yeah, you can access them through their Facebook page. Just message them.
Ryan, in the notes, why don't you send my son Ryan the Facebook page link and the website link? Because we always do a transcript of each podcast, because some people don't like to listen to a podcast. It takes an hour. They could say think you can read it in 20 minutes or whatever. So all these podcasts are transcribed and they're on Dental Town. And also what's neat about that is if you open that up in Google Chrome can automatically translate it to I think 68 different languages. But yeah, I bet there's someone listening right now who actually would just love to go to Cambodia. So let's talk about that. So you got 15 million people. What is the most common language in Cambodia?
Cambodian.
And what would be the second most common language?
Maybe Chinese.
Chinese, and which type?
Yes.
Chinese Mandarin or Cantonese or?
The other dialect called Chao Zhou. Chao Zhou.
And I noticed with Chinese is very interesting, because if you could read Mandarin, you can read Cantonese, but it's the sound that's different.
Yeah, it's different sound. The same word, but different pronunciation. Different sound, yeah.
So it's the same characters. They just sound differently in a dialect. So is Mandarin? So is the second language Chao Zhou? Is that what you called it? Chao Zhou? Is it, if you can read Chao Zhou, can you read Cantonese and Mandarin? Is it the same characters?
Chao Zhou, they don't have their own written language, but some people, they would look at Mandarin but pronounce it out as Chao Zhou. So
Yeah, so you speak 4 different Chinese dialects: Mandarin, Cantonese, Chao Zhou, and Hokkien.
yeah,
That is amazing. Do you know what you call a person who speaks 2 languages?
bilingual?
Yeah, do you know what you call a person who only speaks 1 language?
No.
An American.
Okay.
That is so impressive that you can speak 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different languages. So what percent of Cambodia can speak English?
Mm, not sure. Pretty high, I think. Pretty high percentage.
Yeah, what would you put it at?
Maybe 65 to 70, because children nowadays are getting into English school. They are not getting into Chinese school or Cambodian school anymore. They will go for English education.
And is that as equally common? Do you see that same thing going on in your neighbor countries, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Burma, Malaysia, China? Or do you think Cambodia has higher English?
Yeah, I think Cambodian has a higher English.
Yeah, and you know what I call that phenomena? When you study language, if you go to like when you sorry about my cat, my little kitty cat. She doesn't like it when I stare at you and not her, and she's
Oh.
jealous right now. But it's interesting, like when you go to a country that if you're born in a country that has over 50 million people, you have 50 million people to talk to, so you hardly ever learn another language. By the time your country gets down to 5 million people, you speak
Yeah.
over 5 different languages. So, like
Uh-huh.
when you go to she just attacked. So, like when you go to Scandinavian countries that are small, like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, they had to get along with the Germans. They learned German, the British, English, the French, Spain, Italy. So you go to small countries and they'll speak 5 different languages. But when you go to a big country like China or Brazil or the United States, I mean, if you're born in Brazil, you have 200 million people that you can talk to that speak Portuguese. So why do you learn another language? So it's
Yeah.
interesting that Cambodia has a very high. You said 2/3 speak English because it only has 15 million people, so every country wants to talk to. They pick up a lot of languages. Um,
Yeah.
so that now, what percent of the dentist would speak English?
Percentage.
Of
Well, I think
dentists,
maybe 60.
so the same percent.
Yeah, but the younger generation, they speak better English than the older generation.
Yeah. So which one of your neighbor countries have you visited? Have you gone to Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Malaysia, Myanmar,
Yeah,
China?
I've been to China, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, but not Laos or Myanmar yet.
You haven't been to Laos yet?
Not yet.
You don't pronounce it Laos. How do you pronounce it?
Laos?
Lao?
Yeah, Laos.
Huh. I always thought it was Laos, but it's Lao. So the S
Yeah,
is silent.
yeah,
Yeah.
we don't pronounce the S.
And where did you go in Australia? When you went to Australia, what city? Sydney.
We went to Gold Coast, Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne.
And of that, Brisbane, Gold Coast is the fun resort ocean.
Yeah, I
That's the
love
most
it.
fun. Was that your favorite city?
Yes, Gold Coast.
You know what? So funny because the first time I ever went to Australia, it was the only time in my life that when I got in the plane to go home, I'm like, why am I going back to the United States? I mean, this is just perfect. Why am I leaving here?
Really?
And I've lectured there probably every 5 years for 30 years. And every time I get in the airplane to go back, I think this is crazy. So then guess what? My brother moved there 2 years ago. He took a job for a 3-year job. And
Yeah.
1 year after the job, he said, I'm not going back to Kansas. And he applied for citizenship. And he's not going back. And I said, yeah, Paul, I agree. That is well, it's for me, I think it would be kind of hard to live in a country if you didn't know the native language. So since Australia speaks English, that's an easy fit. I mean, I love so many of these Asian places, like, but I just think it would be a more difficult life if you couldn't speak the language.
Yeah,
And
you would need a lot.
the only D I ever got in my life was in high school Spanish. And the teacher told my mom, and I'll never forget his name. His name is San Martin. He told my mom that I was linguistically retarded.
Oh my God,
He
that
said
was
it.
mean.
Yeah, well, no, I think it was true because my piano teacher, I took piano lessons for a year. I used to tell people that the happiest day of my life was not when I had my 4 children. The happiest day of my life was when my mom said I didn't have to keep taking piano lessons. And the piano teacher was mad at my mom, and she said Howie couldn't carry a tune in a lunch pail. So so I have a Spanish teacher and a piano teacher, both telling my mother that I am not good with sounds. And I just, man, when I go to a foreign country, I'll try so hard to learn just simple things like hello, thank you, good day. And I just don't get it. And my son, Ryan, he'll pick it up. I mean, by the time he leaves the country, he's already got 30, 40 word vocabulary.
Wow.
And I've been to 50 countries, most of them several times, and I don't know any of those words. That or maybe my mother dropped me on my head when I was little and didn't tell me. There's multiple theories going around. Well, I'll tell you this. It's an honor for you to come on the show. I think the dentists listening to this around the world, they always tell me on emails at howard@dentaltown.com, we podcast interview dentists from France and London and Singapore and Japan and now Cambodia. And it's just, it's so cool to meet friends and dental colleagues from around the world. I think what you're doing is amazing. Being twice your age, you're 24, I'm 54. I do think that I've seen this play out in many other countries over the last 30 years, but I do think that getting hygiene schools started is the most fundamental, basic part of building a population of people that prevent disease, whereas the dentists want to drill, fill, and build disease. So, I mean, and you always want to do what's best for the patient. Like, I want my granddaughter Taylor, to get cleanings and with the hygienist every 6 months. I don't want her to get root canals and extractions with the dentist every 6 months. You know what I mean? So I do hope that somewhere in your future you start a dental hygiene program, or at least convince the dean of the public school. And that's another thing. We could get some. One of the greatest hygienists that ever lived was Trish O'Hare, and she has an online program, O'Hare University. You email me and the dean of that public government school, and we'll get Trish O'Hare in on the email. I mean, she'd probably go over there and start it, give you any of the technical stuff. You know, like say she already has O'Hare University online, which is a 4-year dental hygiene program that's already online. But hey, I loved having you on the show. I can't wait to meet you in Cambodia. You ever line up a chance for me to go lecture to all 5 of those dental schools, whether it be an hour at piece or 2 hours or whatever? You line me up to go speak at those 5 dental schools. Me and Ryan will jump on an airplane and fly to Cambodia and meet you in person and do this.
We would love to have you here. It's going to be a huge honor.
Well, line it up and I'm there, buddy. But congratulations on all your success. It was just so fun to talk to you. And I hope you have what time is there now? 10 p.m.?
Yeah, it's 10 p.m.
So is it time for you to go to bed?
Yeah. Maybe not yet.
Okay, well, have a great evening.
Thank you very much.